Junior will win at Daytona. And the big one happens behind them.
Oh my God.
In 2015, NASCAR Cup Series driver Austin Dillon had a terrible wreck just after the checkered flag at the 2015 Coke Zero 400, but new NASCAR fans might have some questions about this crash. How did Austin Dillon fly over all the cars? How good were the catch fences? Why did the number 2 crash into the number 3 after? Well, today I'm going to try to answer these questions to the best of my ability. It's 2015, and the Coke Zero 400 is about to begin at Daytona International Speedway. After being rain delayed, the race is set to start around 11:30 p.m. As the race begins, there are multiple upon multiple crashes throughout the race, along with 2 crashes, one leading to the number 19 of Carl Edwards climbing on top of the number 33 of Brian Scott, and another crash leading to the number 9 of Sam Hornish Jr. nearly flipping his car over in the grass. These 2 events alone just show how wild this racetrack is, but there's more chaos. 2 other big ones and an incident with the caution lights in turn 2 made drivers a little more agitated and the fans even more excited. After Sam Hornish Jr.'s near flip on the backstretch, NASCAR goes into overtime as a green-white checkered is set to end the race. The green flag and white flag laps are both controlled by Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he'll end up winning the race.
Junior will win at Daytona.
Just short of the start-finish line, the number 4 of Kevin Harvick is bump drafting the number 11 of Denny Hamlin. But before we get to the crash, we need to discuss 2 forces: draft and blowovers. Blowover isn't really a force, but we'll get to that in a few moments. For those who are new to NASCAR, the cars have a force behind them, which allows other cars to pull up to their back bumpers and push them. That force is called draft. Staying on their back bumper to push them is called a bump draft. This event is happening all over the track, constantly. Make one mistake while doing this, and you turn the car, or you get turned in front of the entire field. NASCAR stock cars also have a lot of downforce on tracks like Daytona. Downforce is an effect that allows the car to stick to the racetrack, allowing for more grip and control. This is why NASCAR stock cars are so low to the ground, have spoilers and splitters, and no external obstructions such as mirrors or door handles. If you spin out and hold your car backwards for a few seconds, that downforce effect is turned on its head, and you now have up force, I guess. Anyways, the car will lift off the ground, usually the back end, and either be set back down by the car's flaps, or it'll flip over completely. Rusty Wallace was the main inspiration to put some kind of assistance on the car to stop it from flipping over due to aerodynamic forces after his violent crash at Daytona and Talladega.
Trouble behind Rusty Wallace is turning over.
Rusty Wallace 20 feet in the air, spinning, crashing.
Well, I'll tell you, when they're running that close together.
Ernie Evans wins and Rusty spins and gets airborne and flips wildly right at the start-finish line, very reminiscent of his accident at Daytona.
The cars have flaps on them that obstruct the aerodynamic flow pulling the car up. The NASCAR Xfinity car is basically the basis of this and has 2 caul flaps and 2 roof flaps. The caul or hood flaps allow air out from underneath the car, while the roof flaps act almost like an air brake, creating that obstruction I talked about cars not having. The NASCAR Craftsman truck have an extra flap over the bed cover. These flaps are also added after Matt Crafton's blowover at Daytona in 2017, which I'll also discuss in future. The NASCAR Cup Series car had a flap in the diffuser, which worked very well in 2022 Daytona 500 when the number 8 of Tyler Reddick was saved by his flaps on his car. Anyways, back to the track. Just as the field was coming to the start-finish line, the number 4 of Kevin Harvick is running right on the number 11 of Denny Hamlin's back bumper. When Harvick gave Hamlin one final push, Hamlin got loose and spun down the racetrack. Almost immediately after, Hamlin went right back up the racetrack. Hamlin comes up the track and hits the number 24 of Jeff Gordon and the number 3 of Austin Dillon. Jeff Gordon goes around and takes Harvick with him, as he was bump drafting with Harvick. When Hamlin hits Austin Dillon, Austin ramped off of Hamlin's front bumper and lands on the 55 of Clint Bowyer and on top of the 55 of David Reagan. When the side of his car lands on Bowyer and Reagan, because the tri-oval is curved and because drag is a thing, Austin is pulled up the track and he clips the number 6 of Trevor Bayne. After that, his car rolls off of Bowyer and Reagan's car and is now upside down over the middle to outside lane. Austin will jump over 2 car lanes and jump over 5 cars just before making contact with the catch fence. Austin rolls back over and hits that catch fence wheels first. Austin hit relatively low on the catch fence, which rips it out of the foundation. One of these catch fence poles were completely ripped out, and the only thing keeping it from hitting the ground was the mesh catch fencing. 2 other poles were damaged, and 2 had moved quite significantly from the impact. Austin completely destroyed the bottom of his car and ripped out most of the front and rear clip. As the engine bounces across the infield, Austin will complete his roll and start a new roll while landing on his passenger side. Austin then slides on his roof while spinning uncontrollably on the track. Austin eventually slides to the apron. While this is all happening, the number 2 of Brad Keselowski spins out an oil placed down. Just as Austin comes to rest, Keselowski hits Austin Dillon at nearly 140 miles an hour or greater, hitting Austin Dillon's right rear or right front. Austin spins a few more times and then comes to rest a few feet from pit lane while upside down. Before Austin's car came to rest fully, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Casey Mary's pit crew run onto the racetrack to check if Austin Dillon and Keselowski are okay. Austin Dillon exits the car while it is still upside down and waves to the crowd as he walks to an ambulance. Austin Dillon suffered no injuries and participated in the race next week at Kentucky. 5 spectators suffered minor injuries after being sprayed with race car and catch fence shrapnel. A relatively unseen detail I saw in the wreck: Hamlin's back end jumps up in the air as he's hit by the number 40 of Landon Castle.
In the middle there and comes across the force bumper. As he does, he spins back in, gets the 3 airborne, and he just gets projected off the other cars right up into the fence.
The number 14 of Tony Stewart, number 51 of Justin Allgaier, number 47 of AJ Allmendinger, number 20 of Matt Kenseth, and number 83 of Matt DiBenedetto all drove underneath Austin while he was in the catch fence. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a new series I start explaining auto racing flips. I'll mainly stick around to NASCAR, but if you want to suggest a flip to me, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching.